Free socks.
Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose. House, what are you doing?
Enjoying some Java. Got my coffee. World's right. I'm laying around the man cave, not doing nothing today. 45 degrees here in North Alabama, and I just soon sit inside and be comfortable. Deer season ended yesterday here. Ain't got nothing to do.
Oh, you got all the time in the world now, then.
Mm-hmm.
For a few months, anyway.
Yeah, maybe. Won't be long, man. We'll be worried about going to LBL.
Oh, look, she's in the chat. Couldn't make the show, but she's in the chat.
She's recuperating. She had a rough day yesterday.
Hey, everybody. Hello, everyone in the chat. Who we got? Well, we got like 37, 38 people right now. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Sorry we didn't have a show last week, but Roger's show on Squatch and Holler with Greg and Kumbo and Parker made up for it. Y'all go back and just watch that in pieces over the next 2 weeks if you want to.
What I'm recommending to everybody on that, if they didn't see it, wait. If you're coming to the LBL, I don't know where you're coming from, but if you got 6 hours to kill and you got to drive a long way, just start that when you head out to the LBL, and that'll ride. We'll talk you all the way in.
Yes. You'll be ready to go whenever you get there. You'll be like, didn't I just talk to you guys a few minutes ago?
I felt like we were doing one of the old-fashioned telethons. We just wasn't really raising money, you know.
Right. That's what he needed. He needed like an 800 number. After about 4 hours, people had been calling and trying to pay to get him to stop.
No doubt. Man, my jaw hurt me for like all day yesterday. I needed my mouth wired shut where I didn't have to worry about talking. We had a ball though. We had fun. We covered multiple subjects. But I talked to Kumbo yesterday for a second and messaged him back and forth. And talked with Roger.
Wait, that's a lie.
I know it's hard to believe that Kumbo would talk to anybody on the phone very long. But anyway, but you know, it was a long show, and I know. And look, I was astounded and honored that people found us interested enough to hang out for 6 hours and 5 minutes.
There's a long answer as to why he doesn't have cameras on here.
We'll answer that here in just 1 second. But I'm honored, y'all. I'm honored that y'all show up to anything that I'm on talking, because, like I said, I'm fluent in speaking cornbread. And I feel like I need subtitles. So I appreciate all y'all that understand my heavy accent, North Alabama accent. And, you know, just phenomenal that people hung out with. We had people that stayed in chat 6 hours and 5 minutes or longer. And just blows my mind. And the main thing that we talked about after the show and have talked about it, guys, we're just normal folks. Some of us didn't even go into these things looking for them. They kind of found us, and we want everybody to know that we're just normal folks. We out here trying to live, and we know about these things. We've dealt with these things. I'm not no celebrity. I'm a long way from celebrity. Y'all meet me in person, y'all gonna get the same guy on here. I'm not putting on airs for anybody. You know, we want to come across like we are. We're normal, everyday folks. And, you know, that's the thing that I see a lot of problem with these shows. Everybody wants to be the scientist, or they want to be the professional. I don't try to change my speech. I don't try to change nothing. What y'all see is what you get. And that's all I know how to be, y'all, is be me. Some people I rub the wrong way, and some of them apparently may be the right way. But I mean, that's just us, and that's what I plan on getting.
You going around rubbing people? Does your
No,
wife know about it?
Look here. No, I can't be doing that. I can't be rubbing on. She don't even let me rub on her.
Oh, well. Before I forget, thank you for the moderators. Are there moderators in here? I know Misty's in there, but anyway, thank you for the moderator. Hey, there's John. Hey, John. How you doing, brother?
All right. Let me answer that question before we get too far.
Bam Bam is in here.
Yeah, I seen Brother Bama. Hey, look, he was supposed to come over here.
Well, before you answer the question, let's bring on Steve. Yes. Because Steve and Will, they do a lot with cameras, and Mr. Stephen Hill might have something to contribute to the comment. So tell Robert why you don't run cameras on your property house.
Well, back 20 years ago when we started dealing with these things, and like I said, I stayed in a confused mode for a while. Couldn't figure out what was going on. And, it was just puzzling to us. We couldn't figure out what the tree knocking and the whooping and the whistles and, stuff walking around the woods. We really, for a long time, thought it was somebody that was mad that we were hunting this piece of property, and they were trying to just basically mess up our deer hunt. And that was before really game cameras. And we didn't, there wasn't no technology to put game cameras up, especially for old broke, poor redneck like me. So that wasn't really an option. I just kept trying to catch who it was. I kept looking for vehicles. Somebody's got to come into this remote area, but we couldn't ever find a vehicle. We couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, then my cousin, he had a sawmill and he had kind of money to burn. So he bought a couple of cameras. We were amazed and didn't know how to operate them, but we put them up. And, we would get deer pictures, stuff like that. We'd never get a picture of a person. That's what I kept trying to catch, was a person. But whatever it was avoiding the cameras. And we tried and tried. And then there was a couple of pictures that we got was something questionable way in the background. We didn't have anything with a red circle around it to look at. But it just kept on and kept on. And y'all, I was like, heck with it. And by the time that really cameras had advanced, that was about the time I saw one. And kind of to me, cameras was either going to spook them away or you wasn't going to get anything anyway. And I just let it roll. I mean, especially once I saw one, I didn't have to prove it to anybody. I knew what it was. I mean, it's just, I don't know. And I know that sounds crazy to people, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. I've got buddies that's got cameras out fairly close to where I'm at. They hadn't got anything. I think that, to me, I think it's very plausible that those cameras, either the electronics that they pick up on it, or if they've got an infrared beam that sets the camera off, that maybe they can see that. And to me, in my mind, and this may be totally wrong, this is just old redneck theory, it'd be like me walking through the woods and somebody's got a flashlight because I can see that light. I'd probably avoid that. If I think that's something that I don't need to be around, if you're walking through the dark and you see a flashlight beam shining down and you're afraid of it, why would you walk up in that beam? I mean, I don't know. I have no clue. And then again, look at all the cameras that people have put out. That if they do get something, it's going to be blurry. It's going to be messed up. And I don't understand that. And usually too, guys, it's not just that image. It's something that's messing the cameras up. I can't explain it. So, I mean, I just don't mess with it.
Now, for everybody that's in the chat, this is Stephen Hill. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good, Spencer. I appreciate you having me. Well, Greg,
no, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, Greg, I'll tell you, with the cameras, that's a Yeah, that's kind of a learning curve with the cameras. We've had camera. I've got cameras. I've got a camera here in my house. I haven't put it out in the woods in 3 or 4 years now because it doesn't work anymore. It's frustrating whenever you got a camera out and you see a track in front of your camera and your camera never went off. We've got some cameras. William's got one that's been broke. We've had them covered up with bark. We've had them covered up with a piece of wood. We've had them thrown down a bunch of times. We've had them. We got some out there. We're not real sure where they're at. We should have had some kind of GPS tracker in them, I guess.
Well, to the point, I would say, and we'll get into your experiences starting off here in 1 second, but like whenever we had Will on, and I've talked to Will quite a bit before over the past several years, and whenever he started telling me about the cameras being ripped off trees and thrown and broken and everything, my point would be, no matter what your theory is on if boogers can see them or smell them or sense electricity, whatever it is, for some reason, they don't like the cameras. They will move the cameras. They will break the cameras. They will get rid of the cameras. So the point would be is that if you're in an area that you think the boogers are there and they're active and you're trying to monitor that area, putting cameras out is probably only going to either upset them or force them to avoid the area a little bit more. I mean, that's just the way that I read it. I've heard quite a few people talking about, the cameras being broken or turned or, just snatched and gone missing and everything. So it's like, no matter which way you cut it, and you guys, we've got to admit, I mean, come on, even if you got a picture on a camera nowadays, what are you going to do with it? You're going to put it on Facebook and be like, oh, here's a picture of Bigfoot caught on my game camera, because you're going to have, 65% of the people going, it's the AI stuff, or it's, somebody in a costume, or it's fake or whatnot. I mean, it really, the cameras, even if you caught something, that's only good for you as a researcher looking at that area. And Greg has to live with them, and he's trying not to piss them off on his property. So,
yeah. Well,
go ahead, Steve.
Well, this the picture right there, Greg, that's a game camera picture. That's a poster.
Wow.
And
we got that on a slide here in a few minutes. You tell us all about it.
Yeah, there's a picture when there's nothing there, and then there's a picture with that in there. What William and I honestly believe is that's a mama carrying a little one. I mean, she's big. She's big. But what I tell you, what worked for us is we have one spot we call the candy store, and we had more success in the candy store than we did any place else around. In the candy store, we're just taking the fun size Snickers. We're putting them out. We're setting the cameras up 10 feet from them, sometimes 30 feet from them, whatever. And basically we made it a game with them. Can they slip in and take that Snickers without the camera going off? And a lot of times they did. Most of the time they did. And sometimes we catch stuff. And but that right there was one where she was walking by the candy store. That's where that was at that time. I mean, since then, it's all changed now. They got pine trees growing up in it. And so we kind of lost our candy store spot to some degree. But I mean, just a couple 100 yards down that little ridge, I set a game camera out. I left it out there for 3 months. I had a brand new game card, brand new SD card in it, and brand new batteries in it when I set it out. I never got the first picture. I never got a picture of a rabbit, a deer, a coyote, anything. Absolutely nothing. So I don't know. Sometimes it just really makes me question things a lot.
I'd be content just knowing how the heck they're figuring out where all the cameras are. But
Yeah.
anyway, so Steve, for anybody that doesn't know you, you want to kind of start at the beginning and walk through it, pretty please?
Yeah. I'm from Southwest Arkansas. I live about roughly 40 miles from William Lunsford, who's my primary research partner. And William and I, we became friends in 1988 playing softball together. And William's a good bit older than I am, so we didn't have a falling out or anything. We just kind of him and Cindy, they had Reese, and they had their family, and I was still young, and so our lives just kind of went different directions. But after almost I guess I had my first sighting in 2009, and my daughter had a sighting in 2008. So finally in 2018, I finally found somebody in a Facebook group that I recognized, because I've been joining Facebook groups for a couple of years there, thinking there's got to be somebody I know that's interested in this subject. And I finally ran across William, and we reconnected. So, but that's for me, it's 2009. That's when I had that sighting, and that's like I told Mark, and like I've told anybody that's asked, ever got into it, I went back and forth for a long time. Was this really real, or was it not real? And I finally kept hearing more vocals, and some other stuff kept happening, and but it still took me till about 2017 before I finally even went to a Bigfoot conference to try to meet somebody, which she was glad I did, because I was to the point by that time I was probably making her crazy, because I was always talking about it.
Well, how about elaborating on your daughter sighting and your sighting?
All right, I will. I live in a small town here in Southwest Arkansas, and we were in the city limits, and by the house there's a creek. It's a decent sized creek. It usually keeps water year round. And I think she was 13 or 14, something like that. I'd have to add it up. About 14. She should have been around 14 years old. And she was looking through the blinds in her bedroom window, and she saw something coming up the tree line by the neighbor's house. And she was looking through the blinds, looking at it. It was tall and kind of thin and real dark. And it got behind the neighbor's mailbox on their side of the highway there. We lived on one side of the highway and they were on the other side. And it stopped behind the neighbor's mailbox, which came up to its waist. And that's when she closed the blinds. She came in the bedroom and got me, said, "Dad, come look at this." She was excited. And of course, it was gone by the time I got there. But she saw that, and that kind of made me scratch my head. I was thinking, wonder what this really is. I was familiar with the Falcon monster stories. I don't know that I had fully caught on, that they were actually talking about a Bigfoot. I would, anytime I was in the Falcon area, I'd always look around, but I'd never seen anything. And so I really didn't think much more about it until I had my sighting. And I was the area that I had my sighting in is around close to Cossatot Falls here in western Arkansas. I was coming out of the woods that day and come down a pretty steep hill. Had a pretty sharp turn down at the bottom of the hill. And when I got straightened out, I could see something moving through the woods. And it was on all fours. I could tell that about it. And I never stopped the truck. Of course, I probably wasn't going 15 miles an hour. But that thing crossed the road in front of me. And when it crossed the road, I noticed it didn't have a muzzle on it, and it didn't have a tail. And I thought, what in the world did I just see? And it crossed the road, and it went up a hill. I'm thinking, I'll get up there in a minute, and I'll get another look at this thing, and I'll be able to decide what exactly it is I saw. And it wasn't there. I stopped where it crossed the road at, and I looked up that hill, and I couldn't see it. So, but the thing that stuck out in my mind the most about it was how fast it was. So that was my first.
Well, whenever you saw it cross the road, Steve, from a distance. Now, I mean, you know, the average person can look at the silhouette, the outline of something, and be like, oh, okay, that looks like a bear. Like by the way it's lumbering, the hump at the back shoulders and everything, the way its butt's rounded and everything, or like a cow. You know, you can get a pretty good idea, hey, that's a cow. Whenever you saw it, can you describe like the way it was moving or anything specific about physically how it looked on all fours? Like, did it have a flat back? Was its shoulders high? Was its butt high? Was its head sticking out? What did it look like?
It was, I'm not going to say it was perfectly flat across the back, but it was a lot closer than a monkey or something. And the thing that stuck out to me is it was the smoothest thing I've ever seen move in the woods. The only thing it and a bear had in common was the fact that this was on all fours and all the bears are always on all fours, almost always whenever they're running. You know, I've seen bears run, and a bear's got stuff moving all over the place. It's got the up and down motion to it. This thing didn't. This thing right here was smooth. I'm talking, I've never seen anything that smooth before. And that's what threw me off, because I was thinking, that had to be a bear. In that argument, it just didn't, I couldn't satisfy that in my mind that was a bear. For one thing, it didn't have a muzzle. And this thing was one solid color. It didn't have the lighter colored patch on the face like a lot of black bears will have, which is what we do have in Arkansas. And it didn't have a tail. I mean, the top of its back was probably about the height of the top of a picnic table. So, I mean, it wasn't necessarily just a real big one. I'm thinking what I believe is probably a juvenile. But now when it went across that road, it never looked at me. It never turned its head or anything else. It just went straight.
What time of day was it?
It was far enough in the evening. I had my headlights on. You know, it wasn't dark yet. It was kind of the dusky dark. But that's and I know January is what I've always thought it was, because I know it was still getting dark early in the evening. You know, we hadn't started having longer days yet. So
yeah. How close did you get to it?
I'm gonna say I was probably within 80 yards of it by the time it crossed the road. You know, wow. So I mean, I had a pretty decent look, and my eyes were better. My eyes were better in 2009 than they are now. You know. So. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Man, no, the first one that I saw, it was on two legs, and I had a road sighting, and I saw mine about 11:30 in the daytime. Yeah. And it was I know the date just like I know my birthday. It was January the 29th of 2009. Oh, golly, dude. But like what you're talking about, the one that I saw, and its legs were like they were in warp speed. And it, like I said, it was bipedal. Yeah. But that thing's body, instead of being hunched over, you know, running, that thing was straight. Its back was straight up. And it could have been tilted a little bit back, because it was weird looking. It was like its legs was outrunning the top of its body. And that thing, it wasn't like a person, you know, you see their head bounding. No, it was like it just glided across the road, except when it jumped out of the ditch up in the road, it, you know, of course, went up. But as it crossed that roadway, it was weird. I mean, absolutely the strangest thing I've ever witnessed. Yeah. The way it crossed, and then it jumped another ditch and then went through a thicket. Man, and like you're talking about speed, yeah. I've never seen anything move like that moved. Never.
No. There's no way, to me in my mind, there's no way a deer could outrun one.
No. What I saw, a deer would not have a chance to try to outrun what I saw. Couldn't happen.
No. You know, that's seeing that. I mean, I was thinking, I was trying to convince myself, you know, it had to be a bear, but there were things about it that just didn't fit.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, it's amazing. Let me ask you this: how did that change your outlook on everything once you finally saw that and realized what it was?
Yeah, like I said, I went back and forth for a few years on that. You know, there were times I was convinced, yeah, that had to be a Bigfoot. That's what I saw. And then I would go, no, I would have seen another one by now, or I would have seen more evidence of them out there because, you know, I've hunted all my life. And what I didn't understand back then is I had walked past no telling how much sign and never gave it a second thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. How did that affect the way that you approach going in the woods when you're hunting now? Do you still hunt, I'm sure?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I still hunt. It's with that, it's I'm not real bad about getting out there before daylight. You know, a lot of times when I'm going to a deer stand, and a lot of times I'll usually leave before it gets completely dark. You know, there have been a few times since that sighting. You know, I've stayed till it got dark. I'll never forget one time I was on deer stand and I had I think a good old yearling or something out there in front of my stand. I didn't want to spook it, so I thought I'll just wait. I don't want to mess the area up. I'll wait until they're pretty well out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold, there was a stinking pack of coyotes sounded off. Sounded like it wasn't 75 yards from me, and I'm thinking, man, why did I do this?
Yes.
But yeah, it changed it. Yeah, it's with that. I mean, it didn't affect me as much as the second sighting.
Yeah.
But that second one, it troubled me because I knew exactly what I was looking at.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? So how many times have you laid eyes on these things?
I know I've laid eyes on them over 10 times. Most of them have actually been right here around my house.
Yeah. Just
to be perfectly honest about it, I mean that's where the sightings have happened. You know, I was there for a few years. I was getting 2 or 3 sightings a year right here from my yard.
Wow. Was it
Yeah.
that time, night time? Kind of. Was there any specific kind of a pattern to it?
From what I put together, and another guy that I've talked to from Oklahoma, he had told me and said, you know, when your daughters get to a certain age, said the activity's probably going to increase. Well, when we was in town, you know, my daughter was around that age whenever she had that sighting.
Yeah.
And my younger daughter, my kids are all, I got my kids all spaced out. They're 29, 20, and 11. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what I think sometimes too. Is wow.
Does your wife ever tell you that she kind of hates you every now and then? This is your fault.
So my youngest daughter, when we moved to where we're at right now, that's when the activity really picked up around 2017, and that's but from 2009 to 2017, I didn't have a sighting in between there. I'd been spooked up. I'd heard stuff, but I hadn't laid eyes on one for all that time. So, but in 2017, I mean, it's what I saw in 2017. You see how wide that is? It's pretty much like that. I think probably bigger.
Wow.
Yeah, it was standing up when I first saw it, and I don't think I'm exaggerating a bit when I tell you that the shoulders were probably 4.5 feet wide.
Good Lord.
And I figure it was at least 8 feet tall. And it squatted down.
I was going to say, go ahead, and then we'll show the footage, and he can talk about them.
Well, let me ask you this: when you say it squatted down, the one that I saw when it stepped out of the woods, and when it stepped out, and I was getting a side profile, and then the thing like this, and then it turned toward me. It stepped one step, and it turned and faced me. When it faced me, the thing it looked like you just compressed it. It just like dropped and squatted. Now it didn't go down real low, but let me ask you, when you're saying that one squatted, when it squatted, did its arms like flare out to the sides? Do you remember because when the one I saw, hang on, when the one I saw, when as it went down, its arms like bowed out real wide, and its arms like went all the way to its hands, looked like they touched the ground, which he didn't have to go far because its arms were really long. But it's like the whole thing compressed, but it's like it bulked out as it dropped. Do you remember anything like that happening?
No, that particular detail, I don't remember that particular detail. I guess to make this part right here even a little stranger is the fact that there were cattle in this field where this thing was at.
Really?
Yes. And that's what I've always compared the shoulder with too. This thing was standing up, and I'm going to say it was at least 8 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure y'all familiar with cattle. Say probably about a 1.5-year old heifer.
Mm-hmm.
From the front leg to the back leg, that would have been the shoulder width.
Wow. Yeah, that's 4.5 foot all day long, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it squatted down as far as the arms. Now I don't remember that, but I don't remember any detail about that. But that's what I've always compared the shoulder width to. Now, when I saw that one, that was only just a couple miles from my house.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I went through some trouble trying to go to sleep at night, because I was thinking, if that thing wants to get in my house, it can just tear the roof off and come in. I mean, it was just an information overload seeing that. Because that first one I saw, like I said, the top of its back was only about the height of a picnic table. Yeah. Then I see that second one, and that just blew my mind.
How far away were you from that one?
I'm gonna say 120 yards at the very most.
Wow. And I mean, were you I'm sure you were at a cattle farm or something.
I was actually on my way to the store to go fill my truck up with gas. That was another one of those times. This was in the morning before it was daylight, but the sun hadn't made it up over the trees yet. Yeah. So it was in the dawning part of the morning. Mm. But when I saw that, I was and like I said, if I'd have been in my right mind, I guess after I saw it, I would have stopped and I would have videoed, or I would have done something. But I couldn't wrap my head around it, seeing something that big, because I was thinking, how in the world can this hide? Why haven't more people seen this? Yeah.
Well, something that you just touched on there, that's what I try to tell people all the time. When they hear somebody say it's 8 foot tall, 8.5 foot tall, 9 foot, whatever, they cannot, to me, I don't see how, or I believe that they cannot comprehend the bulk, the girth of these things. And that's what really makes it as much overwhelming is the height. That's when I tell people, I think of standing a Volkswagen Beetle car up and looking at the top of it. That's what it's like you're looking at. It's something that bulky. It's crazy. And you think, how in the hell does something that big hide?
Yeah, that's what I couldn't get over. I was thinking there have to be more people that have seen them. You can't just hide that anywhere. And they're better at it than I am. I'll say that.
Hey, Steve, did you see Mark Copeland's question? And he phrased it really well. He said, not trying to be insensitive or anything, but by any chance, did any of your girls have any issues such as autism?
No, my girls don't. No. It's see, at the time when we moved up here, my youngest daughter would have been around 14 and my son would have been around 5. And we have a pool. So they were out there playing in the pool, so you can know how loud kids can be when they're playing in the water. Yeah. Slapping the pool toys on the water, making loud noises and stuff like that. So to me, I think that's part of what really, really caused the activity to get the way that it was here around the house. I mean, they didn't necessarily do anything terrible. But I mean, where I was catching them was at the edge of the tree line. Whenever I would, they thought they were hid, and somehow I was able to spot them. So
I mean, it seems like that's a common occurrence. You know, a lot of people have that same type of situation over and over again. What's up? Hold on, here we go. All right. What is this, Steve?
That right there is a is that okay? I should have sent you the other one. That right there is that's a bipedal trackway of a canine.
You know, I was looking at this when you sent. I was like, "Is that what I think it is?" Because I could blow it up on my end. It's hard. I can only make it so big on here.
Is that
yeah?
the track? Or is that just okay? Yeah. That's a bipedal track line, and that right there, that wasn't the first one I found. For whatever dumb reason, I didn't video or take pictures of the first trackway I found. But I was fortunate enough to find a second one.
How big were the tracks?
They're about 4.5 inches wide and a little bit longer than they are wide. So,
as long as it stays in Arkansas.
and I'll go ahead and tell you the other thing. Yeah, right there, that didn't come in too good. But if you look kind of just a little bit to the right of that picture, you can see something white right there. And I believe that's the teeth. And that right there is out of the video I took.
That's from a video?
Yeah, that's a still out of a video. I was at work and I got to noticing these dark spots in that plantation coming down a ridge.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, the video is just like audio. The stuff that never comes out is good. You know, looking at it on a computer as in person. I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah. This right here's around a lake that there's a boy got married to one of my cousins. When he was a teenager, he was him and couple of his buddies, they were riding around up there by the lake and he hit a deer. And since he hit the deer, he thought, well, they're gonna go ahead and go in the woods and get the deer. You know, he might as well since he'd already hit it with a car. So he went in the woods after the deer, and there was so much screaming and yelling coming out of the woods. They all ran back out of the woods screaming and yelling.
Too late.
And that's the same. Yeah, Williams had rocks thrown at him. I think one of them might have hit his truck up there around that lake one time.
I think I've heard him tell that story. I might be wrong.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you see a big fat guy right there.
I'm just showing the pictures you sent me.
Yeah. But if you look right in front of me, right beside that little old twig sticking up, you see that white spot right there in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. If you got that next picture, we're kind of zoomed in on it a little bit more. And this is a game picture. Yeah, right there.
What is this, a fairy? An elf? A gnome?
I don't know. But Cindy downloaded that on William's iPad, and whenever you move that iPad, you can actually see it moving.
Really?
Look, you keep all that out there in Arkansas. Don't send that over to Alabama. I don't need. Look, I got enough to deal with these boogers. I don't need no fairies, no gnomes, leprechauns. No, I'm good.
So that's that's one of the odd things we've caught out there in our what we call ground zero. So
wow.
So that's I mean, I was standing right there beside it, and I had no clue it was there till they went to show me the picture.
So how tall do you think that was? I mean, you're a big man, but still, that's still little.
I'm over 6 foot, so I'm figuring that was probably 10 inches at the very most.
Wow.
So,
what is this, Steve?
That right there was I used to go out and I'd do calls early in the morning a lot before my work day would start. And I quit doing calls in August of 2015. And this was in September 2017. I'd finally done another call. And this right here was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I noticed a really dark spot up in the trees. Wasn't too far from me there. So I stopped what I was doing. I took the picture. And I probably should have sent you the other one. The other one might have showed up a little bit better. But if you see right there, dead center, that would be where the face is, and in the black spot going over to the side. That right there is his arm holding onto a tree. He was up in the trees. Is what this was.
Up in the top of a tree?
Is up in the trees. Yeah, the trees were around 50 to 60 feet tall there. And it was up in the trees. Watching me work.
Watching you work.
Yeah. So
he was a supervisor, huh?
He could be what he wanted to be.
Well, I mean, these things, what we've done put together a long time ago, they're curious. And if you're doing something out, odds are, if they're in earshot or whatever, they liable to be standing out there and just watch you as long as you're out there doing something.
Yeah. This right here is one of the game camera pictures we got. He's reaching around grabbing the Snickers. We had there was a berm there where that was at, and the creature itself this is what we believe. The creature itself is on the backside of that berm, reaching around with his arm, grabbing that Snickers. So that right there is one of those times, where we've had the camera probably about 10, 12 feet, from where we put the Snickers out, just to see if they could sneak in and get it. So,
Spencer, I'm gonna have to ask. I've got to ask because we've been on this for a while. When you started dealing with these things or researching them or whatever, let me think how to phrase this where it's not going to sound too crazy. And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
All right.
Have you researched these things long enough that maybe that you've done like a lot of us and went through the whole idea of that they're just an animal and they're flesh and blood? And then after you do this, that you run into the idea that you've witnessed stuff that you can't explain just by normal stuff, that there's a different aspect to these things other than just normal science can explain?
Yeah. When I first started with this, that's what my thought was that this is North America's great ape. That's what I truly thought. And I was naive enough to think, well, once I focus on this right here, I'll have something to show. And since then I've told people that sometimes I think this right here just turns into a rabbit hole.
I think so.
And because, I've experienced some stuff and seen some stuff that I can't give you a good explanation for it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that you made the poster out of.
Yeah.
Tell us all about this one, like how you caught it, when and where, and like tell us what we're looking at here, please.
All right. This is 2019. This right here, this land here was cut over, timber had been cut off of it. And you can see a little bit of a white spots right below the subject there in the middle. What those are, we had two logs or two small logs, and we put them together, and we were putting the Snickers on the logs, kind of putting them in between them where they'd have to pick it up, to grab the Snickers and stuff like that. And we had cameras, and this is facing south is what it is. And see, this was I know this was the spring of 2019. So this is what it was. And in 2018, I had found a 3-toed track within 30 feet of this very spot. So that's why I was pretty well convinced. But this right here is an early picture of what the candy store used to look like. And it was basically just those two logs. And we were putting the Snickers there. We were putting the cameras out. And what got this right here was the cheapest camera that William owned. We'll talk about one of the $25 Walmart cameras.
Yeah. Sure.
That's what he got it on.
Wow.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah. And I don't think they carry that camera anymore.
They must like Snickers.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll be honest, when William first came up with the idea of putting the Snickers out, I was a little bit skeptical. I was thinking, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But sure enough, I mean, he was right about that. And we did it. We didn't just do this. I had another spot just a little bit farther down from where this picture was taken at, where I was putting rocks on the stump. And on a different phone, I've got before and after pictures of how I would set the rocks up on the stump. And since I was putting rocks on the stump, I thought, well, I'll go ahead and make something that means something to me. And I'd always put the rocks in the shape of a cross. And the rocks would get rearranged. Sometimes it was just a parallel line of rocks. Sometimes it'd be twisted around. Some of the rocks would be moved out of place. But the thing that I noticed, whatever they did on that stump, it seemed like it always pointed slightly northeast to slightly southwest. That was the direction. So
It's kind of odd.
yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it was funny. We had a different stump. See, right there's the picture. The exact same spot. A little bit different time of day. But right there's the Bigfoot was on the other side of those two logs right there. So.
And you said earlier that you thought that where it goes up is the torso, and then where it comes out, you think that's a booger, a young one on it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we think. I mean, looking at it on the poster, it shows up a little bit better than it does on this picture. You know, when you look at the poster up close.
Yeah.
But it's got the flat head, and would be kind of a conical, what we call a conical shaped head. You know.
Yeah.
Sticking off to the side. But you see how wide the shoulders are and how wide the hips are. And I mean, it's just that's big.
Well, whatever it is that you took a picture of, it's definitely large.
Could y'all like do any measurements and determine kind of how tall and wide that was, whatever the figure is?
Looking at this picture right here, I'm thinking, unless I'm looking at that wrong, those logs, they were only about knee high. So that'll give you an idea, you know, it'd be what? They were probably 18 inches off the ground. And you can kind of see the size of that. So to give you a rough estimate. So.
It's big.
Yeah. But that was that right there was a fun spot for sure. It's you want to talk about some of the, like I said, I know you've had some spooky experiences, Greg.
Yeah.
I've had some that scared me, but it wasn't necessarily because of them. I don't know. It's I mean, I've lived here all my life, and I think I'm 100% convinced that they've been around here longer than I've been around here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But probably one of the times that scared me the most out there around the candy store is I gone out there. I was going to put the candy out, and it was already dark when I got there. And as soon as I opened the truck door, man, I got cold chills. I got spooked up, and I thought, what in the world is going on? And I had to give myself a pep talk and say, quit acting like a kid. Just go out here and do what you're here for, and you can go on home. Well, I got out there and I managed to get one of them unwrapped and stuck it down, and man, the chill bumps just kept getting worse. And I had the flashlight I had with me, it's called a Big Larry flashlight, but now it's about equal to having your cell phone light on.
Mm-hmm.
That gives you an idea. It's for working, like if you're up in the engine compartment or something like that. That's what they're designed for.
Yep.
And the chill bumps wouldn't go away. My skin was crawling, and I turned my light on, and I don't know. I'll say the distance this thing was from me. Imagine a 2-lane highway with some shoulders on it. If I was standing on one shoulder and it was standing on the other shoulder, that's about how far apart we were. And it was wide.
Wow.
Wide.
Wow.
And it was wide.
Yeah. And it was wide. I turned my
It was
light on.
wide and it was close.
I turned my light on. I saw that, and I turned my light back off. I thought, I guess for whatever reason, I turned my light back on the second time just to make sure what I thought I was seeing, I was really seeing, and it was still there. So I decided I'm going to go ahead and I had to go.
Did you throw the candy at it?
I'm not sure if I left that. I'm not sure if I unwrapped that second one or not. I think I may have just dropped it on the ground, package and all. I left out. I'm thinking, good night. You just don't have any sense. That's what I was thinking.
Waiting on that Snickers.
Yeah.
Misty wants to know, is Bigfoot the only thing you've seen? Ghosts, aliens, Dogman?
Well, I hadn't seen aliens yet that I know of.
Misty, look there. He didn't go out on ghosts. We're going to have to prize him. I can't believe she ain't in here with us today.
Oh, good night. Yeah. Oh. Man. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen something. I don't know. It wasn't necessarily what I would call a ghost. I don't know. It looked like a real person to me. But it was. It was. Yeah, I'm trying to think what year this. Probably around 2007. We were living in town, and for whatever reason, I woke up one morning. I saw this woman standing at the end of the bed. She had.
No.
She was standing at the end of the bed, and I woke up out of a dead sleep. I'm looking at her, and I thought, who in the world is this in my house? So I got out of bed, and I started following her. Whenever she walked through the entrance to go into the living room, that was the last I saw her. She disappeared.
But she looked like a physical person, like a real person.
She looked like an Indian.
But she wasn't like see-through or nothing. It looked like
No. Yeah.
And my story would be, and then I woke up everybody in the house with my.
Yeah. Well, my wife, when I got out of bed and started following her, my wife got out of bed too. She's like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Because she didn't see it. I did. I mean, I was wide awake at that point. Whenever I saw somebody,
you don't say. Making coffee and burning sage in one hand, pouring coffee in the other.
The rest of my story would have been that was the day I really cleaned house. And they're like,
yeah.
Well, I washed it with gas and dried it with a match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. This is only the second time I've ever told that story. I've kept that to myself for years. You know, I mean, it's just because I mean, kind of getting out. He claims he's seen a Bigfoot and a Dogman, and now he's going to tell he's seen a ghost too. You know, so.
Well, I want to know about the Dogman. What part? Look, Spencer, how come you ain't done? I know why Spencer ain't dove into this because he don't like talking about Dogman, but I want to hear it. Look, I don't want to see one. I just want to talk to people that have, so I may know how to act. Look, yeah, I don't like him no more than he does, but I like to be educated on what I may need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, with her right there, William, you know, we had our cameras in a route, and most of the time we'd make a clockwise rotation when we go check our cameras. And we started at the candy store that day, and we did, for whatever reason, we decided, well, we just go the opposite direction, checking cameras. And that's what we did. And from the candy store, it goes downhill a little ways. You got to go draw. So we crossed the draw, and we were coming up out of the draw, coming back up on that little old ridge. And I was a little bit ahead of William, and I told William, stop, said they're here. The first thing what I saw that day before I saw the Dogman, I saw a black head, probably about that big around, and you got that broom sage grass or what we had out there then, you know, and that stuff will be anywhere from 30 to 36 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
And that head just dropped down below the grass. And that's when I had William stop. And I started taking the pictures, and the Dogman was out there. So, and this is one of those times whenever I've gotten pictures before the stuff, I don't know, it's kind of like part of it's just blocked out of my memory as to what goes on during that time. I've got enough presence of mind to take a picture, but the rest of it, I'm kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like I lose some of that memory from what I was actually looking at.
That's probably a massive adrenaline surge.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what it was. We'd made a counterclockwise rotation that day from the candy store. When we came up on the ridge, the Dogman was down there at the far end of the field.
Wow.
Yeah.
How big was it? Did you tell?
I'm going to say somewhere between 5 and 6 feet tall. I don't. It kind of looks a little bit poor to me, just to be honest about it. You know.
And it was on 2 legs.
Yeah, it's standing up. Yeah, the picture of it is standing up.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the head looks too big for the body to me.
So you got a picture of it then?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the head that you saw drop down, though, you think that was a booger?
I think so.
Then you were taking pictures, and you randomly snapped a picture of a Dogman in the same area with the boogers?
Oh, we saw the Dogman.
You saw the Dogman.
Yeah, we can see it standing up down there.
Look, if you'll watch, Spencer's anxiety is rising, and he's probably getting a little bit of adrenaline right now. So he may not remember all this that we're talking about. He's blocking this out right now.
I'm intentionally blocking this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this right here, this has been our Bigfoot spot for I don't know how long.
Yeah.
And here we got the Dogman in there. Of course, I'd already found trackways twice. I found a trackway, and I think I found the first trackway in 2019. Found a second trackway in 2020, the one you showed a picture of. And I think it was it 20 or 20? It might have been 21 whenever we got the picture of the Dogman. But William was watching it. There was other stuff out there in that field besides that Dogman. And as one of the things that a lot of people have always thought, you know, the Bigfoot and the Dogman didn't get along, but they seem to run together around here.
Wow.
What do you think? Do you think that there's something about that area specifically? Is there something attractive about that area? I mean, you know, like I guess what I'm asking is, do you think that they're drawn to that area, or do you think that they're just coexisting and they just happen to be in that area?
I think somehow they've got some kind of a coexisting deal worked out, or either that or that's part of the troop as a guard or whatever. I don't know exactly how that works. But
Right.
On that particular spot, what the ground tap is, there's a lot of iron ore in there. I don't know if that means anything or not. But I know of other people in different parts of the country where they've found, they've got a bunch of white crystal rock, and that's where the Bigfoot are in that area. So I don't know enough about that type of stuff to say yay or nay as to whether that's part of the attractant there or what. But I know in this one particular spot, and things will start picking up here next month, and it'll be good till about June.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, if y'all had them like year round or certain months, or, I mean, you think activity just increases in those months, or you think they're not there but those months?
No, the activity increases. I think they're still passing through. I'll go ahead and say this. It's what I honestly believe is that the boogers around here, they make a counterclockwise rotation or circuit or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's part of their travel route, and everything in there is part of their travel route.
How big a route? I mean, like mileage estimated, guesstimated. How big an area you think these things, the ones you're dealing with, is covering? You got any idea?
I'm thinking it's going to be at least 7 miles north to south. It's probably going to be 6 to 7 miles wide.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty good sized area.
Mm-hmm. Which
they don't go farther north.
Mm-hmm. which there again, that's, I mean, I think that these here kind of do that, because it'll ramp up some, which I mean, usually I got stuff happens pretty regular, but it may go for a week or so and you don't have nothing, or maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And then you may have something several times in a week. You'll hear something will happen, whatever, something that you'll know that they're here, they're active, whatever. But like what you're talking about, I think these things are kind of like what you're talking about, 5, 8, 10 miles, maybe.
Yeah.
But when you tell people that, you got to look at something that a casual stroll is probably walking at 5 or 8 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because of the stride. I mean, we're not talking about, I mean, that thing go 5 miles in an hour or less. And that ain't far. I mean, it'd be like us walking to a store, you know, a half a mile down the road. It ain't going to take it long to go that distance. So.
No, it's not going to take them that long. And there were times I was trying to keep up with it, and it seemed like it could have been as close as 16, 17 days and it'd be having some activity again. Sometimes it might be 24 to 26 days before they seem like I would notice anything.
Yeah.
But there were also times whenever I think that they probably hung around a lot more than what I was aware of because of some of the stuff that they could do, you know, just like the whistles.
Yeah.
I've heard one mimic my daughter's whistle one night, and I mean it was spot on for what my daughter's whistle was whenever she's wanting to call the dogs in. And
have y'all ever heard any of them like communicating amongst each other?
One time, I've heard that once.
What can you describe what you heard and what it sounded like? Maybe.
To me, what it sounded like is you could tell somebody was talking, but it kind of sounded to me like it's almost like they were mumbling and you just couldn't make out what they were saying. That's the only time I've heard it that I thought it might have been them doing it, because my daughter was with me. I think this was in the afternoon, evening time whenever we heard it.
Mm-hmm.
And because I looked at my daughter and I was like, "Do you hear that?" She said, "Yeah." Her eyes were a little bit bigger than mine because she was hearing it too. And so I drove on down the road thinking, well, there might have been somebody on down the road talking and maybe it just carried.
Yeah.
There wasn't anybody on down the road where it dead ended at.
Could you tell? Did it sound like just like one voice or multiple different voices, or just?
It was a couple.
Yeah.
It was a couple.
Yeah.
And that's the only time I've ever heard anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was unusual to hear. You know, I'd heard people talk about it, and I've heard recordings and all that, but you know, I've never recorded any of it, and that was the only time I ever heard it.
It always puzzles me because, you know, the one time that I heard them really well communicating, they were no more than probably around 100 feet from me. And I really don't believe that those two had a clue that I was there at all. And it absolutely sounded like mad Chinese folks, Russian folks mixed in with some Native American type words.
Yeah.
And it would be like somebody listening to you and I talk. You could tell the difference between my voice and your voice, except that it would be real quick, real choppy. And one would be rattling. And then as soon as it stopped, the other one, it was like they were bickering back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But it was just wild. I mean, that probably spooked me about as much as anything I've ever heard in the woods, ever. Yeah.
Yeah. This was just down the hill from us. You know, it would have been a little bit of distance away from us. You know, we weren't right on top of it.
Yeah.
Down there where the voices were coming from, man. I mean, whoever was in there, they had to walk in. There wasn't a road down there where that's at.
Mm.
And most of the time, whenever hunting season's over around here, it's other than people riding 4-wheelers up and down the road, they're not out in the woods.
Yeah.
How far away are you from any kind of waterway, Steve? How far from like a creek or a river?
I've got one on my place, spring fed.
How about Native American burial mounds? How close? Any? They know?
I'm trying to think how far it would be. Maybe 4 or 5 miles, I think.
Yeah, okay.
I actually live in between 2 rivers.
And how far away is the place that you were talking about, the candy store? Is that within the same area?
Oh yeah, as the crow flies, it's probably not 3.5, 4 miles from my house.
Okay. Yeah. So, all right. A lot of this makes sense now. Hey, let me ask you a question. You were talking about the whistles and everything. Like in my area where I'm at, it's completely different than if I go to like Daniel Boone National Forest or if I go to LBL or North Georgia. It's a little bit of a different, the way that they do things. At least that's my experience on it. So like here, they don't really vocalize a whole lot. I do hear whistles every once in a while, but I hear rock clacks and I hear tree knocks. Occasionally get like a full-fledged possible howl or whatnot. But what you're talking about, like the whistles, is whistles a common sound that they make there? Do you hear like whoops? You ever heard whoops?
I have heard whoops before. I've heard the whoops before. I've heard him mimic William before, his barred owl call.
Yeah.
I've heard him mimic that. I've heard him mimic my daughter's whistle. But I've heard whistles, I don't know, I want to say probably 5 or 6 times. You know, I was able to record whistles a few years ago one time.
Is it that single long monotone whistle that, you know, but it's just loud? Yeah.
If I still got that on this phone, I know I sent it to Mark one time, and he put it on the was it the spectrogram? And you know, it's where he came in. It was it's really, really interesting where it came in on it. You know,
in that range.
Yeah. But you could hear other birds doing their little chirping and singing and whatever else, you know, and you could also hear that other in there. So
whenever you said you used to do calls, whenever you would do a call, did you get a response vocal a lot, or did you get like knocks back or owls or?
A lot of times around here you get coyotes. You know, it's if you get the coyotes going, sometimes that right there is what makes it that interesting. You know, you get the coyotes stirred up. Yeah. And but yeah, it sounded really similar to my call. Basically, it was just you take a whoop and you just exaggerate it and make it as high pitch as what you can and hold it as long as you can.
Right.
That's what I did, and I got an answer. I would get answers with that. So,
what is she?
Go try that.
He doesn't want to hear you saying coexist. I don't know what that means. What's a good month, Leanne? April is a good month for bookers?
Yep.
Yeah. Rick, it depends on where you're at all the time. I mean, it seems like different areas have different times a year where it seems like they're more active.
Yeah. Yeah. Around here in Southwest Arkansas, April is a good month. So everything's starting to green up again. And it seems like they've got the little ones with them in the springtime. So whether they've just been born or whether they're still not very old at all, or whatever the case is, little ones. But I mean, we've got what we believe are pictures of little ones, you know, just like the mama carrying a baby. So I mean, they're reproducing. So
springtime, March and April, I've heard several people with vastly more experience than myself say that they think that's the time of birthing.
Yeah. That's kind of where we are at with it. You know, we think in the springtime is early part of the year is when it's happening. So
I hate to ask this, but have you seen orbs? Have you seen anything crazy that would suggest interdimensional stuff, or have you seen anything with your own eyes that would, you know, take the booger thing and put it into possibly the supernatural realm?
Well, the orbs are interesting. I'll say that for sure. And I don't think I sent you the picture. I could send it to you if you want it real quick. I can find it. But yeah, we were seeing, we got to where we were seeing an orb. Now this thing, I'm going to say it was probably baseball size or maybe a little bit bigger than a baseball. And it was white. Didn't light up anything around it. And it would stay in that one spot. And I remember one night I decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and get my little camera out, and I'm going to video this orb. By the time I got my camera out of my truck, well, it was gone, and it didn't come back. But the other thing I noticed about that, even though it was white, whenever it would go out, it seemed like it had to me, I thought it had a bluish tint right before it would completely disappear. So,
did you actually see it move any? Did it physically move? Did it just stay in one spot?
It would move some, but it wasn't anything radical. You know, I mean, it would most time it seemed like it pretty much just stayed in one spot. If it would go out, it might be just a few feet from where it was. You know, it wasn't anything just crazy.
Right.
But now we saw that. We saw that several times. Yeah, it's and I'll go ahead and send you I'll send you a picture. I'd like for Greg to see this thing just to so maybe he can tell us what it is.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of like Spencer on the Dogman with them orbs and spooks and haints and stuff. Woo! Yeah, I just say not keep that in my wheelhouse. They go on down the road and I'll be all right.
Yeah. I just sent you one there, Spencer. It's so I'll let y'all decide what you want to on
it. Have you ever had anything even remotely close to mind speak, Steve?
So, sometimes it seems like you'll get a thought in your head and you wonder where it come from. You know, it's or you'll catch a smell of something and wonder, how in the world could that possibly be where I'm at right now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I know everybody on here has heard me talk about, and I coined the phrase, the creepy feels. You ever get the creepy feels?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, pick up on that a lot, really. Yeah.
Give me a second. Let me see if I can turn this into a slide real quick. Y'all talk about something.
tell me about the creepy feels there, Greg.
Well, Stephen, I've had times when I'd be fine, be hunting, be just absolutely in my own little world, be deer hunting, be on a field, you know, in a tree stand. All's right with the world. And then all of a sudden, it was like somebody pulled a black cloud over me, and it just hits you just like snapping your fingers. And it would be absolute, just like somebody's burning a hole through me looking at me. And then it would get more ominous and ominous and ominous. And then you start to be like, you're cutting your eyes. And of course, you know, deer hunting, how that goes. You're trying not to look around, but you're rolling your eyes left and right. And you're trying to pick out anything. It's because you know something's there. Something's there. Something's ain't supposed to be. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And then a lot of times it wouldn't be long. You'd hear something, or you'd see trees moving. You'd hear limbs popping. The next thing you know, something's throwing stuff at you, or it's huffing, it's grunting, it's doing something. But you would feel, it was like I could feel these things before they ever let themselves be known.
Yep.
I mean, just absolutely. I mean, you can't really explain to somebody that's never had it. But there again, there's a lot of people, I mean, that, you know, you can be in a crowd somewhere. You be in church, you be in a restaurant, whatever, and it'll wash over you, something get your attention, and you know, and I don't know how to explain that. It's just a sense that we got that I don't know how to explain, but you look up, and that's what I tell people all the time, or I'll ask them, you ever been in church, you ever been somewhere, and you get this feeling that somebody, that might as well have said your name. it's like, somebody's looking at you, and you look over and there you make eye contact, somebody's staring straight at you. And then here's the thing that I throw to that. I said, you ever notice a lot of times and just start noticing, if that thought hits your mind and you get that feeling that somebody's looking at you, here's something that I ask everybody to take notice to, or think back on that it's already happened. But next time it happens, or ever how many next times you got, start paying attention. If you're looking down, you're in church, whatever, you're focusing somewhere else, and you get that feeling. When you look and you see that person that's looking at you, pay attention and notice. See if I'm right on this. When you focus to that person, you don't have to like pick your head and you're searching around looking for that person. You ever notice when if you raise your head up, you'll go straight to that person that's looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to look all around the room to find them. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, when you look up and see that person looking at you, you could be looking down, and when your head comes up, it'll go this way, or it's going to go up and go that way. You don't have to search for that person that's looking at you. How in the world does that work? Yeah, but I'm telling you, I've done it over and over and over. I guess maybe I'm just funny looking and I attract people to look at me. So, but I mean, seriously, it dawned on me one day that when I saw these, I had that feeling, and I looked up and saw these people looking at me. It was like I was on autopilot, and it would just like go right to that person. I can't explain that. Anybody in chat, if y'all can explain it, let me know. I don't know how that works, or if y'all had that and never noticed it, tell us about it, because I cannot explain that. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the way I've been with these boogers. Yep. Dude, I pulled up in my Jeep, pulled up to the gate going on the property where I used to hunt, which is only a mile or just a mile and a quarter from right here, Crowfly. I pulled up at that gate, nothing out of the way, happy-go-lucky, roll in there. Of course, I was still on red alert because I done had so many dealings. But I feel fine, like everything's good, everything's normal. Go in there, hunt, nothing happened. I went in there and everything felt fine. And then before we'd get done hunting, I'd start getting creepy feels. Then we'd have something happen. Then we'd leave. And I've had times when I'd roll up at the gate, and as soon as I'd open my door, step out on the ground, it would wash over me so bad, I don't need to be here. I'd get back in the Jeep and leave. Wouldn't even go in and hunt. I'd go down the road a mile or two, get out, go hunt without a care in the world.
Yep.
Wow.
There you go, Greg.
Dude. Wow. How far away was that from you?
That's actually a game camera picture.
Oh, wow.
There wasn't anything for raccoons to be on. So,
dude, I mean, it's like it's nearly like a grating in a window from what I'm seeing. It's near like, you know what I'm saying, like window panes.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's two of them. It's like lights projecting out in one direction.
Yeah, but I mean that's out there by what we call the candy store. I mean, we're not close to town or anything. We're it's a few miles from anybody's house. That's out in the middle of nowhere, basically, is what it is.
I mean, it kind of reminds me of maybe like an old timey hurricane lantern or something that had something to protect glass, but that's creepy, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, if it didn't have from what I'm seeing, like the grid lines in it, you would think maybe it was some eyes that were glowing, but
yeah, part of that right there is going to be because I zoomed it in, you know.
Okay.
So that right there would be part of why the line. But
okay. Dude,
yeah,
I don't know. I know if I caught that on a game camera out in the middle of the woods, I'd want to know what it was.
Well, I'll tell you where Ground Zero's at, and you go camp there for a while, Spencer.
No,
I mean, I don't mind camping in all the places, and I go out in the middle of the woods to camp. I just not crazy about camping where I know Dogman is.
Spencer he does not need any encouragement to do goofy stuff when it comes to
We're not. Whenever we went to Greg's, as soon as Misty and I saw the place where the camp was abandoned, we were like, we need to come here and camp. And Greg's like, the hell you do?
Yeah.
No. I mean, we got, there's like between $800 and $1,000 worth of tents shredded down there.
Yeah.
Kicked up in a pile and torn up. And it's in the middle of nowhere down this road. It's like a mile and a half down in there across a bunch of Forestry Service land. And he's telling me, he's like, yeah, me and Misty talked about it. And, we could get you to like carry us down there and we want to camp right there. No. First off, no, they ain't happening. And then second off, no,
Yeah. It's you're talking about getting those creepy feelings. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's you'll turn around and look and catch somebody staring right at you.
Mm-hmm.
Probably one of the times I had that where I just got the cold chills seemingly out of nowhere. I was this is probably in a January or something there one year. I was going to move a deer stand into a spot, thinking it'd be a better place to get out there in the middle of one of those, right at the edge of two pine plantations, and just move a box stand in there and have a pretty good area to shoot. And I've been cutting limbs, and I'd gone back and forth, I don't know how many times on a 4-wheeler that day. And I finally picked a spot where I was wanting to, thinking, well, this right here will make a real good spot. Be about 100-yard shot this direction, be about an 80-yard shot another direction. They'll come in. And like I said, I'm not sure how many hours I've been out there, probably 2 or 3 hours. And I was standing up on the footrest on the 4-wheeler. It's like you flipped a switch, and I just got chill bumps. It's like, whew. I couldn't see anything, but I drove out of there looking back over my shoulder. That's how bad it spooked me. And I didn't see anything. And I've been there.
How many times you rode that 4-wheeler out just with the ominous feeling like something's fixing to grab you and just rip you off the back of it?
Oh yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah,
I quit riding for a while too because.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, whenever you started out talking about how, like, earlier it kind of changed the way you thought about like hunting and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be a real common thing, not necessarily stopping you from doing it, but it makes you approach all this stuff a little bit differently once you come to the determination that these things are real. Have you ever had like on the more spooky side of it, have you ever had like something growl at you or huff at you and you look and there's just nothing there?
I've heard the huffs before, but I couldn't see it just because I didn't have a flashlight and it was dark. It was that huff. It's a yeah. I mean, it wasn't very far from it. It's kind of like yeah. And for whatever reason, I do some dumb stuff sometimes. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, join the club.
I walked out one night right at dark. I mean, when I come around the corner, kind of like a little bit of a curve where I could see my truck. And I'm thinking, look, I've done walked 200 yards from the stand. It's just that narrow trail through that old growed up cutover. It's 12 foot wide. And just around the corner where I could make out the shine of the windshield and a little bit of the chrome on my truck. Dude, I've got my Browning rifle laying on my shoulder. And I kind of got a little relief because I ain't had nothing happen that day. And I thought all's right with the world. And dude, in the bushes, just as I stepped past it, we're talking 6 feet, like right here beside me, one huffed at me. Dude, I like turned inside out. I'm talking about all that thing had done was reached out and just grabbed me, and I was a goner. Dude, I walked right, never knew it was there, walked right past it. And when it huffed loud enough, you could feel the air off of it. Whew. Dude, I'm not kidding you. I absolutely, my knees buckled. I didn't know what to do. I mean, instantly, I flipped around, jerked that rifle down, caught it. I'm holding the rifle down here, done flipped the safety finger by the trigger, and I'm backing up, backing up, backing up. That thing didn't make another sound, didn't do nothing. I mean, nothing. And look, I don't care nothing about doing that again. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I had happen to me one time. This is before I ever had a sighting. This has been back in 2007. I'd gone to the job, had to get up early and go change a flat tire on a truck one morning. I don't know what time it's probably 2 o'clock. I just woke up and decided, well, if I fall back asleep, I won't wake up in time. So I just went on to the woods to fix that, and I got the tire changed, and we'd already moved part of the equipment to another job, and I just pulled up there. I was kind of blocking the road, so whenever the coworkers got there, they'd have to wake me up. They couldn't just go in there and start without me. They'd have to wake me up.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably 4 o'clock, 4:30. I laid down. It's a 450 Ford 1-ton long wheelbase, diesel engine in it, and I had just turned the lights off, left the truck idling, had the air conditioner on because it was hot even at that time of morning. And I was asleep. I don't know, it's somewhere around 5:30, 5:45 or something like that. Something shook that truck hard enough it woke me up. And I thought, well, my coworkers are here. So I get up and I open the door and I walk around the back of the truck going to say good morning to them, and there wasn't nobody there.
No. Ever since I heard Gary Spike, not Gary Spike Sr., but his son's encounter with that thing looking in the windshield. No.
Yeah, Gary is.
I would look at her. I know she means it too.
Yeah. But yeah, that was before a Bigfoot ever entered my mind around here.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that just made me scratch my head thinking, what in the world shook the truck? Because there wasn't anything there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask a question because I've seen look like Henry had commented a while ago on do you go out with weapons, or I guess basically do you go into the woods being unarmed? Are you usually armed? I know I'm armed everywhere I go, and when I hit the woods, I'm really armed. How do you handle that?
It just depends on when I do it. If I do it after I get off of work, I don't ever have a weapon with me. I've got a knife. I mean, I've got a nice Reaper, that I can carry with me. But other than that, and a walking stick, I don't have a gun. But a lot of times, if I'm going out on the weekend or if I get to come home first, a lot of times I'll go ahead and I'll take a little old small pistol with me. But
well, have you ever had any encounters with these things, like when you were armed versus not being armed? Can you tell any difference in maybe the encounters or anything? They treat you different?
Well, when I took the Dogman picture that day, we had a 45-70 with us. We set it on the ground to take pictures.
Wow.
Like I said, sometimes we do things that don't always make good sense. But
look, if I'm out there with a booger, look, I can't imagine with a Dogman, but I'm gonna have the Charleston Heston theory on that. Pry it out of my cold, dead hands before I'm laying my gun down.
Yeah,
take a picture.
Yeah,
take a picture.
No.
Let me set this down and get the camera out. No.
Yeah.
That part's true. I mean, you can ask William.
No. The way I look at it, if I got to fend off a booger, Dogman, or whatever, with a camera, no, you might as well be fighting off a grizzly bear with a fly swatter. I know in the history of the whole universe, nothing has ever been killed by taking its picture.
Greg said, do you go out armed? And you're like, well, sometime I got a knife on me. Yeah, okay.
Hey.
I don't know.
Yeah, whenever we read the headlines about an Arkansas man goes missing in the woods, we'll know, hey,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah, that That was that dummy down there trying to increase his odds, wasn't it?
No doubt.
But yeah, it just depends. I can't carry a gun to work, so that's part of the reason why I don't have one. Sometimes if I go do some walking around in the spot, in like in the afternoon. I mean, I've had that happen before.
Can you talk about? I mean, what vague idea? What kind of work do you do?
Forestry, logging.
Okay,
is what it is. So
you're exposed to the woods on a regular basis.
Oh yeah, that's I'm thinking that's probably has worked in my favor, through the years. I mean, I've had just like the one you couldn't hardly tell what it was. It was up in a tree, but I've had that happen multiple times. Where I've caught them watching me work. And sometimes I've wondered. I wear real dark safety glasses.
Mm-hmm.
With black lenses. Sometimes I've wondered, if they didn't see that and made them wonder what's wrong with this one.
They probably wondered that about me, whether I had them glasses on or not. Well, there's a strange one. Let's see what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Roger said, like Matthew McConaughey hunting dragons with an axe.
There you go. Hey,
that was a great movie.
Hey, I'll just say this: that the thing that kept me going back to the woods, which was, I just don't like being bullied. Never have. And
right.
Dude, I've had times when these things run me out of the woods, and I had it in my mind. Look, there's something wrong with me if I keep going back. And I'd go sometimes 2 or 3 days. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm not going back. And then the more I thought about it, and it may be a week or two, but the more I thought about it, my fear would turn into anger. And I was like, the hell with them. By God, I'm going back. They won't jump on me. It's going to get really loud, really fast. If one of us is going to win or both of us going to lose, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to go bad. And to me, the way I would rationalize it is, people out west that live around like Wyoming, places like that, where they got grizzlies. Well, them guys are going in the woods. I mean, they're going hunting. They ain't all getting just eat time they step out of the truck. And I just tried to approach it like that is, okay, I know that I'm not the top dog in the woods no more, but it's not going to keep me out. So I just changed the way that I approached going in the woods anymore. I was armed really heavy, had plenty of extra ammo, went from carrying one small flashlight, AA mini mag light to, I got a light that you can nearly start a fire in pine straw with. And I carried plenty of extra batteries and multiple lights. And, I approached it totally different. I didn't stay in the woods way after dark. I didn't get there way before daylight, and just tried a lot of extra caution. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. With that, I don't know. I went through that spell there after I saw that big one, and, I had trouble sleeping and stuff like that. What got me out of that was, some boys wanted to go get a deer stand one night, and, they asked me to go with them. And I promise you, I didn't. That was the last thing I wanted to do was go in the woods at night with these guys to get a deer stand.
Yeah.
But I made myself do it. And we went in, we got the deer stand. And nothing tried to kill me, nothing tried to eat me or nothing like that. And after that, I was okay.
Yeah.
But that's what did it for me. I had to go out there and face my fears. So,
well,
yeah. Once you see things like I've seen, like what you've seen,
mm-hmm.
it kind of makes you feel like when you're talking about going back in the woods, it feels like you're going swimming with the orcas down there in Florida, at Orlando. Well, let's go dive in the orca pool, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's swim with some sharks, or let's swim with the killer whales. No.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, we're coming up on we're a little over an hour and a half. I'd like to ask you some just kind of some off the wall questions before we hop off here. Number one,
we done went through off the wall.
Number one, what do you think these are? I mean, just like in your personal experience, what do you think they are?
The best I can tell you on that is they're human-like, but they're not us. That's about as close as I can get to it right now. I mean, they're like us, but they're something different from what we are.
Mhm.
And
If
I can't go into more detail than that because I just don't know enough to go into it.
well, I think that's most people if they're being honest about it. If you had to go out and like just pick an area, a location to start looking for these things from scratch, what would you be looking for? You've seen enough commonalities in the spots that you've seen them at. I mean, what would you be looking for to try and find where these things are?
Look for water. Find water. Find moving water.
Right.
That's that'd be the first place to start. And know what you need to be looking for these tree bows. Not every little sapling that's bowed in the woods is because of them. You know, you got deadfall and you got other things that can come along and manipulate the small trees and saplings and stuff like that. But there's certain things you need to be looking for. And when you find it, go that direction. See what's on out there, because most of the time what you're going to find is somewhere between 25 and 100 yards. If it's them, you're going to find another marker of some kind. Is what I have found in this area.
I find stuff very similar to what you were talking about. It seems like I'll find it all in one area, like one vein of the woods.
Yep.
Anyway, what do you think about, like, what's your personal feelings about, like, people going out and just in the middle of the night beating on trees and doing whoops and calls and stuff? What do you think about that? Good idea? Bad idea?
I think it's probably a bad idea, because you never know when you're actually going to catch one in a bad mood, and things can go sideways real quick. And when it does, the first reaction is going to be panic. And whenever they're panicked, that's when they get dangerous. I'm talking about the people going to be panicked.
Yeah.
You know, it's it wouldn't necessarily be the creature then that would hurt them. They'd hurt themselves. You know, to me, it's you can think it's all fun and games, and you can believe that all you want until reality catches up with you one day. When you get slapped in the face with reality, it all changes.
My deal on that, the reason I don't provoke them here, you know, it took me a long time to kind of like have I ain't gonna say make peace with them, but they're more seem like accepting of us, and they kind of put it together that I wasn't instigating them, and that's the reason I don't instigate them. I'm on their terms. If they want me to have an interaction, that's what we have. I don't provoke them. Well, one thing, as much as I've had happen, I still can't tell you what all their sounds mean. I've got an idea, but I don't try to mimic their stuff. I don't try to fool them. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, because I don't know what the hell I'm telling them. I mean, that'd be like me trying to talk to some Korean dude and just mimicking some stuff. I don't know if I'm cussing him out, thanking him for something, or asking him out on a date. I ain't got a clue.
Yeah, you're right. That's the reason why I've never done a call from where I live. I've never done one. I don't ever plan on doing one. You know, they seem to feel welcome enough. You know, it's I found toe impressions in my driveway before, right here beside the house. I mean, it's so as far as that, I don't know. About the only thing I think is about the only vocalization I think I know what it means is a raspy owl call. And I think that's a warning to other ones saying, "Oh, hey, you stepped outside."
Mm-hmm.
Because that's you know, we talked about that before the show. You know, I go outside, you know, at night, a couple times a night, you know, for my reasons. And I remember I did that one night. It was already dark. I didn't turn the carport light on or anything. I'm just going to step on outside, just see if I can hear anything going on. I didn't slam the door. I pulled the door. I closed the door as quietly as I could. And as soon as I got the door shut, it's just, ooh, ooh, ooh. You know, so, and I mean, that was just right here at the tree line. I thought, good night. They got the one out here keeping watch, and he can't even do the call right. You know? that might have been
If you ever had one of these things be up pretty close and really scream, roar, what I call the bellow, roar, scream, howl, where it's like bad enough for it to like shake through your body?
I hadn't been that close to them, but I've heard them before. It's been pretty impressive, you know.
Yeah.
Especially down there around Falk. I don't know, the sound carries good down there. So,
Well, since you're fairly close to Falk, I mean, you know, everybody's that even ever heard of Bigfoot pretty much seen the legend of Boggy Creek. I wonder, like now, are people still having sightings pretty regular around that area or what?
yeah, there's still activity going on around there. There's a lady who lives just a little bit south of Falk, down around Doddridge. She's got horses, and they've been messing with her horses. You know, get the horses spooked up and all that.
Yeah.
She's been having that problem for about a year. So, but yeah, there've been times the sightings and stuff like that. They're still happening down there in that area.
Well,
right there in your area, do you guys experience a high amount of like missing animals or anything like that?
It seems like the deer herd should be growing in this area, unless there's just a bunch of people not reporting what they kill.
yeah.
But the deer herd never seems to really grow. In the hog population, the hogs were so bad around here at one time, you know, people putting hog traps out and everything else. But the hogs, they're not the problem that they used to be. And whenever I would run across a litter out there in the woods, you know, find a big old sow with some babies, instead of her having 10 to 15 babies, she might have 3 or 4, 5. You know, of course, I mean, coyotes could take care of little piglets or something else, but I don't know. It's to me, it just seems like there's something keeping everything in check around here.
Have you ever found like a bone field? You ever found like a pile of bones? You know, not just one animal, but multiple.
Yeah, there's one here a few miles from my house. Yeah, it's not that far away.
Could you tell what all it was?
I hadn't actually gone to it. My son-in-law told me where it's at. It was behind where he lived at. He'd found it. I'm not sure if there was some. I know there were deer and other stuff in it. I don't remember what all he told me, just to be exact. But you know, coons and everything else are actually on the menu. Now we did have some stuff going on. I guess to go way back, long before I ever got into this, back when I was a kid, back in the 70s, just south of me, there was which is an area that one of the areas that William and I go to. We call it the Dark Woods because you don't have to worry a whole lot about light pollution in this place. But there were cattle that were getting killed, and back then, I think they were taking the heart and the lungs and maybe the liver. And back in the 70s, people thought, they thought it was some kind of Satan cult or satanic cult or something like that. But I don't necessarily know that it was, you know. I mean, according to what I've heard other people talk about. So
Now, was that one of those cases where like the skin was almost cut open, or was the animal just tore up? Do you remember? Do you know?
I don't really remember all that. It was just like they would been cut open in the middle, and they'd taken just certain parts of the cow been taken. You know, it wasn't quite like some of the other stuff, you know, where they'd have an eye cut out and the skin around gone. It wasn't described to me that way.
Well, like you're part of the country right there where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
How well acceptance is it for people like to accept Bigfoot? I mean, is it still pretty much taboo? Are people kind of out in the open, or really out in the open? What level of kind of out in the open is it? I mean, is it still pretty much taboo that people are going to be real tight-lipped about it, or what? What do you got out there?
It's not near as taboo as it used to be. You got more and more people have accepted it, You know, it's I'll have. I really don't advertise around here where I live. You know that I do this. People find out about it. And I'll show them some pictures, or I'll play them some audio and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh," you know, it's kind of eye-opening for them, you know, that we've actually got some evidence, you know. But it's people are more accepting of it. You know, a lot of people, they're just not out in the wide open about it. You know, I mean, I've had one guy that I've known him all my life, but he just came to me privately there one time and asked me. He said, because he'd met William. William had gone to their church a few times, you know, whenever he come up here Bigfooting with me. And he just asked me, he said, have y'all really seen that stuff? And I told him, yeah. I said, we really have. He's like, okay. And he just accepted it and went on. But yeah, I know several people well, she asked.
You know, she'd have been on here with us. She could have actually physically.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, people are more accepting of it than they used to be. I still know people they'd never go public with their stories of what they saw, but I mean, they told me about it.
Well, I mean, like Misty's question there. I mean, I don't know how many caves or bluff systems or stuff like that y'all got. I mean,
yeah, we really don't have a lot of caves around here. Not necessarily here, just a little bit north of me. Yeah, there are. You got some caves and rock dens and stuff like that, you know, you could use.
Yeah. And then she wanted to know about portals. What's your thoughts on that?
I have people that I'm friends with, and they tell me that's 100% legit. I'll leave that there.
Yeah, well, that's me. I've never witnessed no portal, but I've got a guy that I trust in my life all day long that swears that just like one stepped into oblivion.
I never get to talk on that.
Oh my gosh. She gets on here and then she gets, so I think she's like I do sometimes. I get starstruck and I'm just,
Yeah. So, but yeah, with that right there, I mean, I've got people that tell me, yeah, it's a 100% fact, you know, so, and those are people that I know and people I trust.
Yeah. And what people don't realize, a lot of the people that have seen stuff like that, and there's way more of them out there than what general public knows. And most of the people are not going to say nothing unless it's to somebody that's like you or like us. And they're like, well, look, don't tell everybody.
Yeah, it's private.
Yeah, this is on the ultimate down low under the rug. Keep it quiet. But this is what I saw. And
talking about Bigfoot might have become more in the normal, and people are more willing to bring that up. But whenever you get into the woo factor, for lack of a better term, anything like that, if they know it, they're hesitant to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was one thing to, you know, to kind of enter the public eye, you know, with talking about Bigfoot, you know, it's for somebody else to enter in talking about the other stuff. Yeah. It's still, people are still reluctant to do that to a large degree, you know, and which I'm not going to hold it against them.
Look, dude, I tell people all the time, look, all I ask you is don't make something up. And whatever happened to you, tell me. I'll sit here and listen to you. And, you know, I may have seen it. I may not. If I have, I'll tell you I did. If I didn't, I'll tell you I didn't. And I'll be as perplexed as you are. But, you know, I'm open-minded to all kind of stuff because, hey, there again, I'm the dude that's been dealing with Bigfoot for 20-something years. You know, there's a lot out there that I don't know. And my favorite phrase is every time I think I've found an answer, that answer causes 20 more questions.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I mean,
that was the thing that got me for years is I knew how much I was in the woods, especially when I was hunting, you know, because a lot of times I'd walk, you know, I mean, the whole time when I was a kid, I mean, I would, if I knew a good hunting spot, it was a mile and a half away. The only way I had to get to it, I had to walk. Yep. So, and there wasn't no trails or anything like that. You just had to find a spot that had the least amount of briars in it if you want to go that area.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing got me is why didn't I find more evidence of where they spent the night? Where's their shelters at? You know, are they like deer? They just sleep out in the open on the ground, or
yeah. Well, let me ask you another question, or if I don't, I'll be kicking myself. Since you're undoubtedly a pretty avid, maybe deer hunter, have you ever had any deer that you've killed get stole from you? You know anybody around there that's had deer get took from them?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I've known people, they've had deer, they've shot deer and knew for sure the deer was dead and laying on the ground, and they go to get their side by side or 4-wheeler and come back and get the deer, and the deer's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's back when I was a kid, you know, I was probably a teenager. I had unfortunately I didn't make a clean kill, and I just bloodied it up. And the guys I was hunting with, they were tracking it, and we got almost to a road. No more blood, no more deer, just gone. And there are a lot of stories like that around here, you know, where people are not thinking Bigfoot. Most people around here are not thinking Bigfoot. You know, they'll talk about how they trailed that deer. Man, they trailed that thing for a half mile, following a good blood trail. And all of a sudden that blood trail was just gone, and the deer was gone. So, that's your yeah. So,
well, I'll tell people, you know, we've had 6. Now look, we've had a few other deer that we'd shot, and you know, I can't tell you on them. I'll just tell you we'd have one heck of a blood trail, follow it. And like you said, I don't mean like a drop here and a drop there. I'm talking about a stream that wide. You could see blood 20 feet ahead of you, just pouring blood. And then you get to a spot, there'd be a spot, you know, big as a sofa or big as a love seat or recliner. Mm-hmm. And the leaves all tore up like we'd been there flopping. And then the deer would be gone. I mean, there wouldn't be one there. And, you know, I can't tell you what happened to that one. You know, did the blood clot up and the deer run on off? I don't know. But I'm talking about 6 deer that we killed, they were dead as a biscuit, laying on the ground. I have picked their head up, picked them up by the horns, tongue hanging out, not breathing, dead. Absolutely, totally dead. Leave, go get a vehicle, come back, be gone 10, 15 minutes, and that deer's like it just floated away, not be there, be gone. But we've had 6 in about the last 11 or 12 years that's been the scenario.
I think you also got to make the point, though, whenever you're talking about that, about the deer, you drop a deer and then you leave to go get a vehicle or something, you come back, it's gone. A lot of people, whenever they hear that are, you know, that are not avid hunters or whatnot, first thing that goes through their mind is something came along and dragged the deer away. And I do think you need to stress the point that, you know, the average person that drops a deer, you know, if you shot that deer, trust me, you walk around looking for that deer. If you go where the end of that blood trail is, it's not like you just go, well, no more blood, I guess I'll turn around and go back.
That's when your circle.
Yeah. But I mean, you're looking for it. And when animals get a hold of it, you know, I mean, they tear it up. They make a mess. They don't just pick it up and drag it off cleanly.
Yep. Oh yeah. It's I've got a set of horns out here in my shop. It's one side, you know how they shed. When they shed it, it's smooth where it comes off the head. But I've got one that kind of goes like that. It looked like it had been pulled off.
Huh.
And that was one of those times there where I found one horn at the candy store. I found the back end of a deer, no hide. The backbone had been broken and the legs had been snapped off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a month or two when I found the other horn.
That's just coyotes. Coyotes do that all the time. They snap off the rear leg of deer all the time.
Yeah.
Not common thing.
Yeah. The other horn, I found it by a deer stand that I know that nobody has hunted for. Nobody hunted that stand in 2017, and nobody's been on it since. Nobody's ever come back for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a bobcat.
Yeah, bobcat. That's what it was.
That goes back to some of the stories that the hunters has found, like a hog carcass or a deer carcass, and then there'll be like an oak tree or something right there close, and they get to looking, and it'll be 6, 7, 8 foot up on the tree. There'll be a big bloody spot, and it'd be like part of the flesh matched up into the bark, like something just whammed it into the tree to kill it. Yeah. Explain that to me. Okay, let's say a coyote got it. That coyote swing that animal into that tree. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's been told a lot.
Yeah, that 30-pound coyote, he just grabbed that deer by the neck and slung him into the tree.
Yeah. I mean, I know you've heard, like we have, lots of reports of these things. They'd grab a deer or a pig or anything, just grab them by the back legs and just like grab it, just flip it into a tree and kill it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what William had happen to him one time. He was doing some walking, checking on the spot down there around Mercer Bow. And he'd gone in, I forget how far he told me he'd gone in, quarter mile, half mile, something like that. He literally had a deer follow him back out of the woods.
Wow.
That's not normal.
No, it ain't normal. That's not normal in the least.
That deer was trying to stay with him.
Yeah. The lesser of two evils. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike Woolley.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Oh, well, Steve, you got anything else you want to?
Oh man, I've enjoyed the conversation, man. It's just
man, I've enjoyed it. Ain't no doubt, man. That definitely. So we appreciate you coming on with us.
Oh yeah.
Maybe one day we'll get Will back on here and we'll get both of y'all together back on here at the same time. By the way, y'all, Will Lunsford's book, Searching for the Unfindable. It's a good book. It's actually, it's a fairly long read.
Yeah.
Good book. A lot of pictures in it. I think Steve is mentioned in it there towards the end.
I wish we could get them two to come to LBL to the meet and greet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to do it this year because of the eclipse. We're going to be busy with that. So
yeah,
we're expecting they're expecting a lot of people to show up to it.
Steve is a great guy.
I appreciate it. Squatch and holler. So, yeah,
that's Roger. Don't pay any attention.
Yeah, that's our buddy Roger, man. You need to meet Roger.
He's just buttering you up, getting ready to ask you if you'll do his show. That's all. Don't pay no attention to him.
Roger's like the little brother we adopted that we really didn't want.
That's not true. See, Greg said that, Roger. That was great.
He knows I'm kidding. Hey, he grew on us like a wart. I mean, look at that.
Roger and I are the morning shift. I got to have his back.
No doubt. No, Roger's a good dude, man. You need to check out his podcast at Squatch and Holler.
Yeah, I will.
Hey, that's where we done that. We done the marathon the other night. Me and Coonbo and Joe Parker and Roger. 6 hours and 5 minutes on that podcast.
Roger, before people come on your show, do you tell them, hey, look, go ahead and have you a pot of coffee sitting there waiting on you, like insert a catheter so you ain't got to get up, Gatorade intravenous? What do you tell people before they come on your show? Look, this could go an hour. This could go 6.5 hours. Watch Roger's show is like, it's like that poker TV show that comes on where they don't, they got to sit there and just play until whoever's out of chips.
I think it was just waiting people out just to see who could stay on the longest.
He just wanted to see how long he could go before like StreamYard kicked him off.
No doubt. Hey, man,
I wouldn't interrupt Coonbo either.
Y'all, there was a pile of people that just stayed in there with us, and I was just amazed at the people that hung out, y'all.
I tried to leave 3 times. Roger tried to leave his own show 3 times. He's like, y'all.
No doubt. He just kept going, well, y'all, I'm going to have to cut it off here in a minute. I've got to go to a birthday party or something tomorrow. And then it would change. We'd like swap out of second gear into third, and we'd back up and into fourth, and then back over to second. Dude, we went through everything from, it was like an adult show and tell. Man, we broke out pocket knives. We thought Kumbo was going to shoot his camera. We didn't know what was going to happen. We had
it cracked me up when somebody commented that Kumbo took a 10-minute break and came back and went 3 more hours.
That was his third wind he caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, he can talk now. There ain't no doubt about it.
He can talk, but you want to listen to him. It's just the way that he's so captivating. You're just, I mean, I let him do the same thing.
That's pay attention to what he's saying. I mean, you can learn a lot. I can guarantee you.
Oh yeah.
Well, anyway, to everybody in the chat, thank you very much for checking this out. Not 100% positive if I have a commitment on next week or not, but don't forget about the meet and greet. Seriously, down to the last handful. Go to the Facebook page or email us. Where's the email thing? Misty always does this. There it is, right there. Or if you want to be on the show, you want to talk about something. Also, guys, just so you know, we would like to, Greg had a good idea. Roger has been doing it, kind of like recognizing people in the chat and everything. Like to put a show together. If some of y'all in the chat, would like to pop on for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And just, introduce yourself. Whether you've had any kind of experience in it or not, that doesn't matter. I mean, just come on and say hi. And is Greg freezing up or is that me? Oh,
it's you.
What? But anyway, so we're probably going to put together a show like that, and we'll just have an open invite where everybody can get on.
They just come on and tell us what got them interested in it. I mean, tell us where they live, what they do, whatever. I mean, it'll just be
thanks for showing up.
Yep.
Moggs,
look there. Y'all, I mean, look, you can we'll have show and tell. You can hold up your cross stitching. You can hold up a pocket knife, favorite kitchen scissors. I don't care. Look at that.
There you go.
What is that?
Oyster shells or seashells. I found them just a few miles from my house. I promise I'm not very close to the Gulf.
We're on Bigfoot show. Yeah, oyster shells.
We'll do a 6-hour show today.
Hey,
we will if you throw up any more oyster shells.
Hey, next week I need to open up one of my gun safes and break out a bunch of my airheads. I need to holding up airheads.
Oh yeah, I've got some. I guess I don't have that many. I found a few nice ones. But yeah, a couple of skull crusher stones too. You can tell where they used to have the raw head wrapped around it.
Taking your format. Don't put ideas in people's head.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, y'all, whatever. Check out all the channels. We got to get something that goes up at the end of the show that has a list of all the channels that we recommend. Obviously, Roger, Squatch and Holler. Check out Mog's channel. Check out Larry and Mark, Sawdust Bees. Chris Ryan, just Sasquatch. Who else are we missing? Blueler.
House of Enoch.
Huh?
House of Enoch.
House of Enoch. He doesn't do a lot on YouTube, though. You got to go on Facebook. But holy cow, if you're seriously interested in the subject, you got to watch Kane's channel.
Yeah.
There's other people. I'm just not thinking of who it is right now. Cowboy.
Yeah.
Watching Cowboy.
Watching Cowboy.
Anyway, we'll see y'all next week, people.
Big love, everybody.
Y'all have a good night.
Free socks.
Squirrel.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Spencer. We're swapped around again.
Huh?
We're swapped around again.
Yep, I know you do it on purpose.